All right, let's dive into all things Greece. We're going deep today with Greece Unlocked, a complete travel guide to history, culture, and adventure.
Ooh, sounds like a good one.
Yeah, it's for someone getting ready for a big trip, and it covers everything. Ancient ruins, secret islands, delicious food, you name it.
I love that. It's not just another typical travel guide, right?
Definitely not. It's more like having a personal expert by your side the whole time.
Well, Greece is truly a magical place. It's fascinating how it blends the ancient world and modern life so seamlessly. You can be exploring the Acropolis one minute
Oh,
and
yeah.
then sipping coffee in a trendy cafe the next. It's pretty
It
amazing.
is. That contrast is something else. Like you're stepping back in time, but with like really good coffee.
Exactly.
Plus, there's just so much variety in the landscape.
Uh,
Mountains, beaches, thousands of islands.
Oh, yeah, about those
Yeah.
islands. The guide mentions that out of the 3,000 or so islands in Greece, only about 170 are inhabited.
Oh, wow.
Imagine all those less traveled gems just waiting to be explored.
I know. I can already picture myself on some secluded beach soaking up the sun and the history.
Sounds amazing.
Before we get too ahead of ourselves with island hopping, maybe we should back up a bit.
Okay, sure.
Like, what about Greece's geography makes it so special?
Well, you can't talk about Greece without mentioning its dramatic landscapes, right? It's located right on the Balkan Peninsula in southeastern Europe, and its coastline, well, it's massive, over 13,000 kilometers long.
Wow, I had no idea it was that extensive.
Yeah, it's longer than a marathon run, over 300 times over.
That's crazy.
And that coastline has shaped not just the physical landscape, but the culture and history of Greece, too.
So all those mountains and the coastline, how does that affect the weather? What should I pack, you think?
Get ready for those classic Mediterranean vibes. Think hot, dry summers, perfect for island hopping.
Sounds good to me.
And then mild, wet winters, which are ideal for exploring the villages tucked away in the mountains.
So slayers are key.
Definitely a good idea. Although the guide does mention that the mountains can create some variations in the weather.
Oh, right, of
So
course.
the coastal areas tend to be milder year-round.
Got it. Okay, layers it is. But we can't talk about Greece without mentioning its history, right?
Absolutely not.
It feels like every stone there has a story to tell.
And it's not just any history. It's the foundation of Western civilization as we know it.
That's true. So where do we even begin?
Well, we have to start with the Mysians, those legendary warriors, you know.
Hmm.
Their civilization really laid the groundwork for everything that followed.
The Mycenaeans, that's the era with the Lion Gate, right?
Exactly.
That image is so iconic. Okay, but what came after them?
Right. So after the Mycenaeans, there was a period called the Greek Dark Ages. It was a time of decline and a bit of a mystery, honestly.
Huh, interesting.
But then, out of that came the rise of the city-states. Athens, Sparta, Corinth.
Ah, yes, the city-states. Each one's so different, always competing with each other.
Exactly. And that brings us to the epic clash between Athens and Sparta, the Peloponnesian War.
Oh man, that was a big one.
And this guide does a great job of showing that it wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a clash of ideologies.
Yeah, totally.
Athenian democracy and all that intellectual stuff versus Spartan militarism. It's a classic showdown.
It is. And the impact of that conflict really shaped Greek identity for centuries to come.
It did. And you can even see its influence on political thought throughout the West.
Well, that's what I love about this guide. It's not just about the dates and names.
Right.
It connects those events to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And you can see how they ripple through time. So after the Peloponnesian War, what happened? Greece's story doesn't just end there.
No, of course not. The Romans, Byzantines, and Ottomans all had their turn, each leaving their own mark.
Right.
But what's amazing is that through it all, the Greek language, their spirit, and their traditions, they endured.
Wow, what resilience.
And that ultimately led to the vibrant, modern nation we know as Greece today.
It's inspiring to think about. Okay, so we've talked about the landscape, the history,
Yeah.
but we can't forget about those iconic ruins in Athens, right? The Acropolis, the Parthenon.
Oh, those are definitely must-sees.
They're just so captivating.
Uh,
But the guide emphasizes that Athens is so much more than just those ancient stones.
it is. Athens has this vibrant energy, a modern pulse that runs through its streets.
So it's not just about the past, it's about how the past and present come together to create something new.
Exactly. And that's what makes Athens so intriguing.
But with so much history packed into one city, where do you even start?
Well, the Acropolis is a must-see. The Parthenon sitting up on that rocky plateau. It's just breathtaking.
Yeah, it's going straight to the top of my list.
It's not just a bunch of old columns, you know?
I know.
It's a symbol of Athenian power, their ingenuity, and the architectural brilliance of the ancient world.
He really is. But what about the rest of Athens? I've heard that Plaka is a charming neighborhood.
Oh, Plaka is charming for sure. With its winding streets, colorful houses, and those little hidden tavernas.
Ooh, I love those.
But a word of warning, it can get pretty crowded, especially during peak season.
Ah, that's good to know. So maybe look for those hidden gems in other neighborhoods.
Definitely. The guide suggests checking out Monastiraki, which has an amazing flea market,
Oh, fun.
or Siri, which has a more bohemian vibe and great nightlife.
Okay, those are going on the list too. But I'm also looking for something a bit unexpected, something that might surprise someone who thinks it's all ancient ruins.
You know, Athens actually has a really cool street art scene.
Really?
Yeah, it adds this modern edge to the ancient backdrop.
I would have never thought of that.
The guide even suggests taking a street art tour.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. I'm definitely adding that to my itinerary. It sounds like Athens is a city of contrasts, where ancient history meets modern creativity.
Exactly. It's that mix that makes Athens so captivating.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've explored Athens. What's next on our deep dive?
Well, our journey now takes us to the Peloponnese.
Ooh, the Peloponnese.
It's a region steeped in myths and legends with a landscape that's just as dramatic as its history.
It sounds incredible. The name itself just conjures up images of ancient warriors and epic battles. What are the must-see spots?
Get ready to travel back in time. We're talking Olympia, the birthplace of the Olympic Games.
Wow, no way.
You can practically hear those ancient crowds cheering and the chariots racing.
That gives me chills just thinking about it. And then there's Epidaurus with that incredibly well-preserved ancient theater.
Yeah, it's amazing. They say you can almost feel the presence of the actors and hear the echoes of their voices.
I bet. But is the Peloponnese all about ancient ruins? Like, what if I'm more into scenic drives and charming towns?
Don't worry, the Peloponnese has something for everyone. The guide mentions Nafplio, which is a beautiful coastal town. It has this relaxed vibe, a picturesque harbor, and even some Venetian influences.
Okay, that sounds right up my alley.
And for the adventurous types, there are winding coastal roads leading to hidden coves with breathtaking views.
Ooh, I can already picture myself driving along those roads, the wind in my hair.
The guide even suggests renting a car and taking a road trip to discover all those hidden gems.
A road trip through the Peloponnese.
Yeah.
I'm sold. Okay, we've covered Athens and the Peloponnese. I think it's time to talk about what we're all really here for.
I know what you mean.
The islands.
Haha, yes. Island hopping time.
It's time. But before we get lost in dreams of turquoise water and whitewashed villages,
Right.
maybe we should try to get organized.
Good idea. Luckily, the guide does a great job of breaking down the different island groups, each with its own personality.
Perfect. I'm ready for all the island intel, so let's start with...
The Cyclades, probably the most iconic of all the Greek islands. Think whitewashed houses clinging to cliffs, those picture-perfect blue domes, and sunsets that'll blow your mind.
Ah, the Cyclades. It's like the classic Greek island dream. And of course, we can't talk about the Cyclades without mentioning Santorini and Mykonos.
Oh, absolutely. Those are the superstars for a reason.
Right. Santorini with its dramatic caldera views and Mykonos with its vibrant nightlife and those cute windmills.
They're definitely must-visits. But remember, we're all about uncovering those hidden gems too, right?
Yeah.
The islands that offer a more authentic and less crowded experience.
Yes. I'm all about those secret escapes. So tell me, what hidden treasures are we unearthing in the Cyclades?
Well, in the Cyclades, the guide recommends exploring islands like Amorgos, which is known for its dramatic cliffs and peaceful atmosphere.
Amorgos.
Or how about Foligandros? It's a real escape from the crowds with traditional villages and unspoiled beaches.
Those sound amazing. Amorgos and Foligandros. Okay, I'm taking notes. But what about the other island groups? Are there any hidden gems in the Dodecanese, the Ionian Islands, or the Sporades?
Absolutely. In the Dodecanese, there's Patmos. It offers this unique blend of religious significance and natural beauty.
Oh, interesting.
It's home to the monastery of St. John the Theologian, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But it also has stunning beaches, perfect for swimming and relaxing.
A bit of history, a bit of spirituality, and a whole lot of beach time. I like it.
What about the Ionian Islands? They're known for their lush landscapes and Venetian influences, right?
Exactly. The Ionian Islands are a bit different from the Cyclades. They're greener, more mountainous, and have that unique blend of Greek and Italian influences.
Cool.
For beautiful beaches and lush landscapes, the guide suggests Lefkada. It's known for its turquoise waters, dramatic cliffs, and charming villages.
Lefkada, all right. I'm already picturing myself exploring those hidden coves and hiking through those landscapes. But what about the Sporades? They seem a bit more low-key, right?
They are. The Sporades are known for their laid-back vibe and unspoiled nature.
Sounds relaxing.
The guide highlights Alonissos. It's home to a beautiful marine park perfect for snorkeling, diving, and kayaking.
Oh, wow. That sounds right up my alley.
It's a haven for nature lovers who want to escape the crowds.
Okay, you've officially overwhelmed me with island options, but we can't wrap up our island hopping adventure without talking about Crete, can we?
Of course not.
The guide dedicates a big chunk to Crete, and for good reason.
Crete is in a league of its own. It's the largest Greek island, and boasts a history, culture, and landscape that are just as diverse as they are captivating.
So, where do we even begin with Crete?
We have to start with the Minoans, one of Europe's oldest civilizations.
The Minoans. They're so fascinating.
Their legacy is woven into the fabric of the island, from the legendary Palace of Knossos to the myths and legends that still echo through the mountains.
It's like stepping into a world of myth and magic with them.
But is Crete all ancient ruins? Does it have anything for those who want to explore nature?
Oh, absolutely. Crete's landscape is as dramatic and diverse as its history.
Like what?
Imagine hiking through the Samaria Gorge, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that carves its way through towering cliffs and pristine forests.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Or picture yourself swimming in the crystal clear waters of Bellis Lagoon with its iconic pink sand beaches.
Hold on, pink sand beaches.
Yes.
Okay, Crete is officially at the top of my must-visit list now. It's amazing.
But the guide doesn't just rave about Crete's history and beaches. It also mentions the food. What's the deal with Cretan cuisine?
Get ready for a culinary adventure.
I am.
Crete is known for its fresh, local ingredients and simple, flavorful dishes. We're talking olive oil that's practically liquid gold, herbs that fill the air with their fragrance, and specialties like dakos, a delicious barley rusk salad.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's topped with fresh tomatoes, feta cheese, and, of course, more of that amazing olive oil.
Okay, now I'm getting hungry. Cretan olive oil, herbs, and those fresh flavors. I need to try it all.
Yeah.
But the guide also mentioned something called Meteora in central Greece.
Ah, yes, Meteora.
And it sounds absolutely magical. Those monasteries perched on top of towering rock formations. How do they even build those things?
It's one of those places you have to see to believe.
I bet.
It's located in central Greece, a region that often gets overshadowed by the islands.
Really?
But trust me, it's worth exploring. And you're right, those monasteries seem to defy gravity, perched on top of those massive rock pillars.
So we have Delphi, the ancient sanctuary, and then Meteora with its gravity-defying monasteries.
Yes.
What else does central Greece have up its sleeve? The guide hints at charming villages and breathtaking landscapes.
Oh, there are plenty of those. Imagine picturesque villages like Arachova and Delphi.
Ooh, I love those kinds of villages.
They offer a glimpse into traditional Greek life with cobblestone streets, charming cafes, and local shops.
It sounds so peaceful.
And for those who crave a bit of adventure, the region is surrounded by mountains, perfect for hiking.
Okay, central Greece is officially on my radar. It sounds like the perfect blend of history, culture, and natural beauty. But we've explored Athens, the Peloponnese, those incredible islands, and now the mystical landscapes of central Greece.
It's a lot.
What's left? Where are we heading next?
Well, our journey takes us north to Thessaloniki, Greece's second largest city.
Thessaloniki.
Yes, it's a city that pulsates with a different kind of energy, a blend of ancient history and modern vibrancy.
Interesting. I've heard it's got a unique personality, a bit more edgy and less polished than Athens.
That's a good way to put it. The guide describes it as a city with a soul, a place where you can wander for hours, discovering hidden cafes, vibrant markets, and a really dynamic cultural scene.
I love that. And the guide mentions that northern Greece has its own unique cuisine, influenced by its proximity to the Balkans and Turkey. What makes it different from the rest of Greece?
Well, even though the core elements of Greek cuisine are present throughout the country, each region has its own little twist.
Of course.
And in northern Greece, you'll find heartier dishes influenced by the flavors of its neighboring countries.
Oh, like what?
Think savory pies filled with cheese and spinach, grilled meats seasoned with aromatic spices, and rich, creamy yogurt, which is a staple of the local diet.
Those flavors sound incredible. Savory pies, grilled meats, and creamy yogurt. I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
No matter where you go in Greece, there's delicious food waiting to be discovered. It's like a culinary adventure that never ends.
That's the beauty of Greece. But speaking of food, let's zoom out for a second and talk about Greek cuisine as a whole. The guide does a really good job of debunking some stereotypes and showcasing just how diverse Greek food culture really is.
Okay, I'm ready to go beyond the stereotypes. What's the essence of Greek cuisine, would you say?
It's all about using fresh, seasonal ingredients and letting those natural flavors shine through. Olive oil is like the heart and soul of Greek cooking.
Olive oil, always.
And herbs are used generously to add aroma and depth. But it goes beyond the ingredients, you know? It's about the philosophy behind the food.
A philosophy behind the food. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
The guide emphasizes that Greek food is all about community, about sharing meals with loved ones and celebrating the simple pleasures of life. It's about slowing down, savoring each bite, and connecting with the people around you.
I love that. It's not just about the food itself. It's about the whole experience. The
Exactly.
connection, the celebration of life. It makes you rethink your whole approach to food.
It really does.
Okay, but let's not limit ourselves to just food. This guide also talks about adventure, about exploring Greece beyond the typical tourist attraction.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Greece is a playground for adventurers. Hiking, sailing, diving, mountain biking. You name it, they've got it.
Okay, I'm ready for adventure. What are some of the highlights?
Well, if you're into hiking, the guide suggests exploring the Zagori region in northwestern Greece. It's a land of towering mountains, deep gorges, and traditional stone villages with trails that will take your breath away.
Zagori. Okay, that sounds amazing. What about water activities? We've talked about sailing around the islands, but are there any other water adventures you'd recommend?
Well, if you're feeling brave, the guide suggests sea kayaking.
Sea kayaking. Ooh, that sounds fun.
You can explore hidden coves, paddle through crystal clear waters, and get up close and personal with the coastline.
Okay, I have a confession to make.
What's that?
I'm actually terrified of deep water.
Uh,
Are there any water activities that are, a little more surface level friendly?
Definitely. The guide recommends stand-up paddleboarding, or SUP as they call it. It's fun, relatively easy, and it's a great workout.
Oh, I've heard of that.
You can paddle along the coastline, explore those hidden coves, or even try SUP yoga if you're feeling adventurous.
SUP yoga. Now, that's something I've got to try. It sounds like the perfect blend of relaxation and a little bit of a challenge.
It is. But the guide also emphasizes the importance of being a responsible traveler,
Of course.
being mindful of your impact on the environment and supporting the local communities.
Definitely.
It gives tips for reducing your carbon footprint, respecting customs and traditions, and ways you can give back to the places you visit.
That's so important. Leaving a positive impact wherever we travel. But with so much to see and do in Greece, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed.
I can imagine.
Like, where do I even begin?
Well, that's where this guide really shines. It gives practical advice for planning your trip, from figuring out the best time to visit, to navigating transportation and finding places to stay. And of course, it covers budgeting too.
It sounds like it's like having a personal travel planner right in your pocket. Okay, phew, I needed that reassurance.
Don't worry, you've got this. And we're here to help guide you through it all.
I know, I feel much better now. Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into Greece. What do you say we take a quick break and come back for more?
Sounds good to me. We've got so much more to explore.
Welcome back to our Greek adventure. We've already uncovered so much ancient history, those stunning landscapes, and those amazing islands. But there's still so much more to explore, right?
You're right. And this is where the guidebook really dives deep into those cultural layers that make Greece such a unique destination.
Speaking of unique, one thing that keeps popping up is this concept of philoxenia.
Ah, yes. Philoxenia. It's
Yeah.
often translated as love of strangers, but it's so much more than just simple hospitality.
It sounds like it's ingrained in Greek culture.
It really is. The guidebook shares a story about a traveler who arrived on a remote island with nowhere to stay. A local family, complete strangers, welcomed them into their home without a second thought.
Wow.
They provided food, shelter, and genuine warmth. That's philoxenia in action. It's about going above and beyond to make someone feel welcome, like they're part of the family.
That's amazing. I can't wait to experience that kind of warmth for myself. But besides that incredible hospitality, the guidebook also mentions some fascinating Greek traditions.
Oh, there are so many. One that caught my eye is the celebration of name days.
Name days.
Yes. In Greece, Name days are a big deal, often even more important than birthdays.
Really? I've never heard of that.
Each day of the year is associated with a particular saint, and if you're named after that saint, well, that's your name day.
So it's like a birthday, but for your name.
Exactly. It's a time for families and communities to get together, celebrate, share food, and honor their patron saint.
That's so cool. I love how it brings people together. What other unique traditions stood out to you in the guidebook?
If you happen to be in Greece during Easter, you're in for a treat. Greek Easter is a huge celebration, and one tradition that really resonated with me is the ritual of cracking red eggs.
Red eggs. What's the significance behind that?
Well, the red eggs symbolize the blood of Christ and the resurrection. On Easter Sunday, people go around cracking their red eggs against each other,
Oh,
and the last person with an uncracked egg is said to have good luck for the whole year.
it sounds like a fun and symbolic way to celebrate such a meaningful holiday. I love how those traditions connect people to their history and faith. But speaking of celebrations, no festive occasion is complete without some good food and drink, right?
You're right. And we've already talked about the delicious food, but what about the drinks?
What's the drink scene like in Greece?
You can't talk about Greece without mentioning wine. Winemaking in Greece has a long and rich history, going back thousands of years.
Wow. So we're not just talking about your average Cabernet Sauvignon or Chardonnay.
Right. Not at all. Greece has a whole treasure trove of indigenous grape varieties, which produce wines with unique flavors and characteristics.
Okay, now I'm intrigued.
For example, the guidebook mentions Assyrtiko, a crisp white wine from Santorini, and a Girgitiko, a full-bodied red from the Peloponnese.
I'm adding those to my list. It's like a whole new world of wine to explore.
Okay.
What about something a little stronger? The guidebook mentions ouzo, and I have to admit, I'm a bit intimidated by this anise-flavored spirit.
Ouzo. It's definitely an acquired taste, but it's a huge part of Greek culture.
Is it strong?
It is, but the guidebook says it's traditionally served chilled, either neat or with a bit of water, and it's often enjoyed as an aperitif or alongside those delicious meze dishes.
Okay, I'm willing to give it a shot. It sounds like more than just a drink. It's a way to really connect with the local culture. But we can't forget about coffee, right? I hear the Greeks take their coffee pretty seriously.
Oh, absolutely. Coffee is a way of life in Greece, and the guidebook actually devotes a whole section to coffee culture.
So it's not just a quick grab-and-go kind of thing.
Not at all. They have this traditional Greek coffee brewed in a special pot called a briki.
A brekkie, huh?
It makes a strong, flavorful brew that's meant to be sipped slowly while enjoying conversation.
It's more like a social ritual.
Exactly. It's a way to connect with friends, family, or even strangers.
I love that. Just sitting in a charming cafe, sipping coffee and watching the world go by. Sounds perfect.
But let's go back to the islands for a minute. We've talked about the different island groups, but I'm curious about daily life there. Is it as idyllic as it seems?
Well, the guidebook paints a realistic picture. It acknowledges that island life isn't always easy, especially in the smaller islands. Resources can be limited, and life can be tough, especially during the off-season.
That makes sense.
But it also highlights the strong sense of community, the connection to nature, and the slower, more relaxed pace of life that many islanders cherish. I can see the appeal. It's interesting to think about those different rhythms of life, the energy of the cities versus the slower pace of the islands. It makes you wonder how those differences shape people's perspectives and their connection to the land.
It's fascinating.
But we've talked a lot about the past, the history, the traditions. What about modern Greece? What's the country like today?
The guidebook does a great job of bridging that gap between the ancient past and the present.
How so?
It talks about the challenges Greece has faced in recent years, especially with the economic crisis, but it also emphasizes the resilience of the Greek people.
I've heard about that resilience.
Their determination, their humor, their unwavering spirit. It's really inspiring.
It is. Okay, last question before we move on. What's something you read in the guidebook that really stood out to you?
There's a passage that talks about this Greek concept of kephi. It's a hard word to translate directly, but it captures a feeling of pure joy, passion, and a zest for life.
Kefi. I love that.
It's the energy you feel at a Greek wedding, the passion in their music, the warmth of a shared meal with loved ones. It's the essence of what makes Greece so captivating.
It really does capture that vibrant spirit we've been talking about. It reminds me that travel isn't just about seeing the sights. It's about experiencing a place with all your senses, about immersing yourself in the local culture and just letting yourself get swept away by those moments of pure joy and connection.
You said it. Greece is a country that needs to be experienced, not just observed. It's a place to connect with history, nature, and the human spirit in a way that's both profound and exciting.
I'm so ready for that. But we've covered so much ground already. Where do we go from here?
Well, before we send you off on your Greek adventure, we need to talk about some practical stuff.
The logistics.
Exactly. The guidebook has a wealth of information on planning your trip, like how to choose the right time to visit, figure out transportation, find accommodation, and of course, how to budget for your adventure.
Okay, let's get practical. I'm ready to start turning those Greek dreams into reality. What's first on the list?
Well, first things first, visas. The guidebook clarifies that U.S. citizens don't need a visa for stays up to 90 days. You just need to make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your planned trip.
Got it. Passport, dot check.
Mm-hmm.
What about money? What currency do they use in Greece, and is it a generally expensive destination?
Greece uses the euro, and the cost of traveling there really depends on your travel style and the season. The guidebook emphasizes that you can definitely travel on a budget, especially if you're willing to be flexible.
Flexible how?
Well, with things like your accommodation choices,
Hmm.
or maybe exploring during the shoulder seasons when it's less crowded, and of course taking advantage of local transportation options.
That makes sense. I'm all about finding that sweet spot between comfort and affordability. What about the language barrier? I know a few basic Greek phrases, but is English spoken widely?
You'll find that most people in tourist areas speak English, especially in hotels, restaurants, and shops. But the guidebook encourages travelers to learn a few basic Greek phrases.
Oh, I agree.
It's a way to show respect for their culture, and it can open up some really authentic interactions.
It shows you're making an effort.
Exactly. Even a simple kalamera for good morning or efharisto for thank you can go a long way.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered visas, money, and language. What other practical tips does the guidebook offer?
Don't forget about travel insurance. It's essential for any international trip. It gives you peace of mind in case of any unexpected events.
True, true.
And the guidebook also stresses the importance of packing the right gear, especially if you're planning to hike, try water sports, or any other outdoor activities.
Good point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and forget those practical things. Speaking of excitement, we can't forget about souvenirs.
Of course not.
What are some must-buy items that will help me bring a piece of Greece back home?
Greece is full of unique and beautiful souvenirs. The guidebook suggests checking out local markets and artisan shops for authentic Greek products.
Okay, what should I be looking for?
Well, olive oil is a classic, and you can find some incredible quality from small producers all over the country.
Okay, olive oil's at the top of my list. What else is there?
Honey is another great choice, especially those flavored with local herbs or nuts.
Ah,
And if you're looking for something special, try looking for handmade ceramics, textiles, or leather goods. They're beautiful, and you'll be supporting local businesses.
I love that idea. It's all about finding those unique pieces that tell a story and connect you to the place. But besides material souvenirs, what's the one thing you hope our listener brings back from their trip to Greece?
That's a great question. I hope they come back with a renewed sense of wonder, a deeper appreciation for those simple things in life, and of